This will be my third story parody, and it is the bad boy version of Pinocchio. Now, for those who don't know, the original story of Pinocchio was pretty gruesome, much more than a Disney movie, and I am not so much a fan of the original story as it tended to promote the human-centered worldview quite a bit. Disney movie presented it a lot less. The Disney was much more interspecies philosophy about it. So I do like the Disney film. But anyway, this is my version of it in which, I add a lot of crazy, funny stuff. And like always, like all of my story parodies, it contains language and content that might shock or offend. So, here it goes. Once upon a time, in Italy, there was a woodcutter named Geppetto who always got termites in all the puppets he carved. And he had a pet squid in a giant aquarium. Geppetto ran a giant marine park outside his wood carving studio, and most of the marionettes he carved were either scuba divers, marine mammal trainers, or marine mammals or other sea creatures. So there was a giant squid that is, and a giant octopus, each in their own huge tank, and of course they didn't like it there because they were basically prisoners. He also had held as prisoners lots of orcas and dolphins and pilot whales, and they really resented how this guy had actually a few years ago gone over into the ocean and he basically captured them, tore them away from their families to create his own aquarium, which was creating big business along with his toys, his marionettes in Italy. Now, one of the whales he always wanted to catch was a sperm whale named Monstro, but Monstro always evaded him, and he needed to see if anybody could help him build a tank, a bathtub basically large enough to hold Monstro. So, what it was is, so what happened is that one time he decided to, carve a little boy out of wood and make a little boy marionette, and he wanted this boy to be real so he could enjoy the wonders of his marine mammal prison and just live the whole life. He wanted this boy to be real so he could train him to be a marine mammal trainer and to just have nothing else to think about or know about in his life but how great it is to keep marine mammals prisoners. So he wished upon a star that this wooden puppet he carved who wore a whale trainer's suit, that he become a real boy. So at night, the blue fairy came, and she, being a really nice blue fairy, a spirit from heaven, was really outraged that this asshole, this guy, would be such a slave driver to these innocent sea animals, and also, create marionettes to just sort of pitch the idea that it was okay to keep creatures with the same intelligence and emotions and culture as humans in captivity, and sell those toys to kids to give them that message. So she wanted to get back at this jerk, at this, fucker. So she did make Pinocchio somewhat alive. He was still wooden, but she said, if you can prove to Geppetto, that this is wrong, it's not okay to keep marine mammals especially, but really none of these marine animals in captivity, such as the squid and the octopus, because cephalopods also have really high intelligence in captivity. Either that or you kill his ass, then you can become a real boy. So Pinocchio said, okay, that's cool. I'll see about that. So the next day, the blue fairy told this little cricket, hi, I want you to be his conscience. So the Jiminy Cricket said, okay, that's cool. I'm going to help teach this bastard a lesson about, his slave driving business. So, the Blue Fairy said that to Jiminy Cricket, so tomorrow Pinocchio should go to the movie theater. Blackfish is showing, even though it's centuries before the movie comes out, and he needs to watch Blackfish and see what this kind of thing does. In fact, this is what his asshole father Geppetto is doing. He just doesn't tell Pinocchio about it and doesn't let Pinocchio look behind the scenes at the abuse he inflicts on the animals he keeps as prisoners. So Pinocchio was like, oh shit, Dad actually does that to those whales back there? Okay, I'm gonna go check that out. So the next day, so then the Blue Fairy said, present yourself to Geppetto now, but keep it hidden that you're gonna get back at him. So Pinocchio said, okay. So Geppetto was like, wow, you're cool. So, and had a little dance with Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket. And then, so the next day, now in this story, Figaro the cat is not actually there, and Cleo the fish is actually a large bluefin tuna held in a way too small tank at Geppetto's marine mammal prison. So, you won't really be seeing too much of them, although you'll see Cleo at the end. So the next day, Pinocchio went over to the movie theater to see Blackfish when he met, let me see, he met an outland hyena and an outland jackal who, being not all hyenas or jackals are bad in the TLK universe, but some of them are, and these were a hyena and a jackal from the outlands. They had just decided to come to Italy for a vacation, and they were assholes, both of them. So they asked Pinocchio, oh look, I never seen a wooden puppet without strings before who can walk and talk. What are you doing? He said, oh, I'm going to watch this film, Blackfish, because my dad holds marine mammals and other marine animals as prisoners, and I'm going to help, try to either teach him not to do that, or if he refuses, murder his ass. So, now the hyena and the jackal didn't want Pinocchio to do that because they thought the whole idea of keeping entire types of water animals in prison was an awesome idea. So they just decided to trick him and say, you really want to spend $10 on a movie ticket to go see Blackfish? No, here, watch this. This is cool. So they gave him one of those 80s videos about SeaWorld and how cool it is. So Pinocchio just decided to watch that instead because he didn't realize that he was being tricked by the hyena and the jackal. And when he watched it, he's like, wow, Dad was wrong. I mean, the Blue Fairy, I guess, was wrong. My dad really is an awesome guy. And I've never actually seen those animals being abused by him. So I guess I'll just help him. So what happened then is that his nose grew. Because every time he said good stuff about marine animals in captivity, which is a lie, it's all lies, every time he said that, his nose grew because he was telling a lie every time he said that. But, so the Blue Fairy came down and said, Pinocchio, why did you go see Blackfish? All the showtimes are sold out now. You can't see it today. And he said, well, this hyena and this jackal came, and they said, I don't think my dad was wrong. And, well, they didn't say that my dad was wrong. They just said, I didn't have to waste $10 on a ticket to see Blackfish when I could watch this video about marine mammals in prison for free. So I watched it. They gave it to me for free. And you know what? It looks like you were wrong. It doesn't really look like it's that bad a thing. The Blue Fairy told him, I'm really sorry, but you've been conned by them. That hyena and that jackal are fucking assholes, and they're not even here. They're on vacation. They come from a place in Africa called the Outlands, and I will forgive you this once, but you have one more. You have a second thing you need to do, and then after that, you'll have your third trial. If you fail the second thing, I really hope you don't. But you'll still have a chance. However, if you fail your third trial, you will stay wooden forever, and then there's nothing that you can do about those poor marine animals your dad's keeping prisoners. Don't be fooled by that video that the hyena and the jackal gave you. That is propaganda by this park called SeaWorld itself, which is a park over in Florida in the United States. They are greenwashing you. to think that they're not abusing the whales and the other animals, but they are, and your father is too. He's also greenwashing you. So Pinocchio said, I'm sorry. His nose shrunk back to its normal size, and then he said, so what's the second trial? The Blue Fairy said, now what you need to do is go over to the town to this Mass Purg organization. It's a public interest research group that helps the environment. Now, of course, Mass Purg hadn't even been created in the 1800s where this takes place, but that's beside the point. So I want you to go and talk to the people. These people have had experience with taking care of issues like this and with trying to free marine mammals from prison. So I want you to go talk to them and they'll tell you the true story. And they are actually planning a protest of your dad's theme park, of your dad's sea animal prison. I want you to be with them at the protest. Watch the disturbing videos that they're going to show you, which tell the truth, and then go and, show your dad you're not supporting him. You and they know the truth, and he knows it, and he's hiding from you. So Pinocchio said, okay. So the Blue Fairy said, that starts tomorrow morning. So he said, okay. So, he decided to stay out in the Italian forest over there because he didn't want to sleep in his dad's house. His dad was being a jerk. But his dad, not seeing him come home, was worried about him, so he decided to go out and look for him. At one point, Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket saw his dad walking around, and they hid behind trees. So luckily, he wouldn't be spotted and force them to come home. So the next day, Pinocchio and Jiminy walked over to the Mass Purg meeting and planned protest of Geppetto's marine animal prison. So Pinocchio, however, did not realize that there was something that the hyena and the jackal were going to trick him again. So the hyena and the jackal showed up before he and Jiminy made it to the protest, and they said, hey, why are you at this protest? They're telling you lies about your dad's theme park. And he said, oh no, the Blue Fairy told me that, this video you gave me was lies. That the people who own these marine parks, such as my dad, are the ones who are telling lies. And I know because my nose was growing when I was saying that it wasn't that bad. And when I lie, my nose grows. So they said, oh, I'm sure your nose wasn't growing. You just had a bacterial infection that the Blue Fairy used her magic to get rid of. We know that. We are doctors. We studied about medicine. So Pinocchio said, well, I don't know. I've never studied medicine, but, maybe you're right. So the fox and the cat said, why don't you just ditch this protest? Play hooky from it. I'll tell you where you can go. You can go to an island that's all fun, where you can just have a lot of fun and not give a shit about anything that really matters. So, in fact, come with us. The boat leaves soon to go to Africa. It's where we live. It's called the Outlands. So Jiminy Cricket said, don't do that. They're tricking you again. Pinocchio said, oh, come on. How bad can it be? So Jiminy Cricket, followed along, he hopped on board the trip and he said, oh, here we go again. So Pinocchio got on the ship with the hyena and the jackal to go back to their home in the Outlands. When he reached it, he's like, ew, this place smells like rotten meat. Lots of bones everywhere. No light. It's all hazy, still, and misty. God damn, this is a crappy place. Why the hell do you even live here? This place sucks. This is just disgusting, and it smells like a garbage dump in New Jersey. Even though I don't know what New Jersey is. The hyena and the jackal said, oh, it's got plenty of animals. And you know what we get to eat? We get to eat plenty of stuff, but what we eat is decomposed, expired meat. Pinocchio's like, ew, but I guess if that's the only thing to have, you can have it. I'll eat it. So he decided to stay in the Outlands, and he asked the hyena and the jackal, now how in any way is this place fun? They said, oh, well, here there are a couple of animals that, are idiots, but what we get to do is beat the crap out of each other and never share and just, what we do is we cross over into this place called the Pride Lands, which is the country next door, and we have to keep quiet because there's a pride of lions who rule that place, and if we get caught, they'll chase us back into here. But what's really fun is to try to get the animals they eat and hunt them and then take them back, even though we've got more than enough meat here. In fact, not all the meat's expired. You know, just the animals who go to die come here, and here's some meat that's not even expired. It's fresh. So Pinocchio sniffed the meat, and he's like, "Wow, this isn't even stinky. This is good." And they said, "And if you're afraid of eating raw meat, there are geysers you can cook the meat over." So Pinocchio said, "Oh, I'm just going to do that." So he tried. He ate some fresh zebra meat over a geyser, grilled it. It was good. So they said, "Come on, you can have more of that. Just go into the Pride Lands and try to catch one of the Pride Land animals." So Pinocchio said, "Okay." So Pinocchio quietly walked up and just, until Jiminy Cricket said, "Hey, Pinocchio, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be taking Pride Land's prey." Pinocchio said, "Oh, it's okay. This hyena and this jackal are really nice to me." And Jiminy Cricket said, "You know what the Blue Fairy told me, right before you came. She appeared and she said, if you try to, take a Pride Lands animal down and eat it with the hyena and the jackal, you are actually going to suffer horrible joint and migraine pain for 10 hours. So Pinocchio said, "Oh, really? You are really making things hard, and the Blue Fairy is really making things hard." And Jiminy Cricket said, "Okay, fine. Make an idiot out of yourself. Be a fucking ass." So the Jiminy Cricket just decided to leave until he noticed that he walked into another area in the Outlands and he found out that the hyena and the jackal were actually teaching several Pride Land predators, and some outland animals who are otherwise nice to go and, be jerks and to eat more prey than they needed to. And all of them were suffering from debilitating, migraine and joint pain. And a lot of them are screaming in agony. And Jiminy says, "Oh, Blue Fairy, these poor animals, what can you do to them?" So the Blue Fairy said, "They have been brainwashed too by the hyena and the jackal. We gotta take care of those fucking idiots." So luckily with magic, she said to all the cubs, they were some nice hyena cubs and nice jackal cubs from the Outlands, as well as a few lion and cheetah and bad-eared fox cubs from the Pride Land. She waved her magic wand and said, "Feel no more pain." And suddenly their migraine and joint pain was gone, and they're like, "Yeah." So Blue Fairy said, "Hi, I'm a messenger from heaven, and you need to know that you have been punked by this evil hyena and this evil jackal who have tricked you into committing horrible, disgusting, stupid as fuck acts. So as long as you don't do that, you Outlanders, just eat only what you need, and so do you Pridelanders. You Pridelanders can go back to the Pridelands. I'm sure your parents are worried sick about you. And you Outlanders, just realize that, pretty much the bad guys in your country, they're propaganda machines. The whole leaders of your country are trying to promote you into hate and to be assholes. But you can be better than that. The 99% of the Outlands is not hateful and needs to kick the 1% in the groin. So, finally free again, all those cubs thanked the Blue Fairy. So, Jiminy Crickets and the Blue Fairy said, "We gotta find Pinocchio." So, Pinocchio, right there, he caught a gazelle, a fresh gazelle, and he bit the gazelle's neck, so the gazelle died, and then he started cooking the gazelle over a geyser, and he ate the gazelle, and it was good. Even though he was extremely stuffed, he was way too full, because he had already eaten a whole, side of meat, and he ate this whole gazelle, so he was feeling kind of sick, and he really had the shits, and he puked, and he had diarrhea for a couple of hours. But then after that, he suddenly got this horrible joint and migraine pain, and he was screaming, and he was puking and crapping even more. So the Blue Fairy and Jiminy Cricket said to Pinocchio, "You have been tricked again. Don't worry though, if you can, you still have your third trial to do, and if you pass your third trial, you'll become a real boy." So the Blue Fairy waved her wand, healed all of Pinocchio's pain, and he apologized. So he and Jiminy and the Blue Fairy said that, all went. The Blue Fairy took them in her arms and flew them over back to the African coast. And she said, "From here, you have to jump into the sea, and jump into the Atlantic, and you'll find that your father went looking for you. Your father went looking for you for a while, and as well, he decided to see if he could get Monstro to be in his marine animal prison again. He figured, I miss Pinocchio so much, but hey, what the hell? While I'll go looking for him, I'll just try to see if I can if I can capture Monstro as well, and make him my main attraction of my shows. So, why the hell he would think Pinocchio would be at the bottom of the ocean, nobody knows. It's stupid, illogical crap. But Pinocchio and Jiminy jumped into the ocean, and then they walked around, and then they noticed that they saw Monstro, and they said, "Hey, Monstro, my dad is looking for me, but my dad's an idiot. He wants to trap you and make you his prisoner, and in his prison, which he does to entertain kids and fool them that you and other marine animals are being treated nice. Where is he? Because if I want to become a real boy, I have to either convince my dad what he's doing is wrong, or if he refuses to be convinced, I have to beat him to death or otherwise kill him." So the whale said, "Oh, it's that guy Geppetto. Ah, I didn't know he was trying to do that to me. I swallowed him, but he's fine. I'm not going to kill him. He actually has some fish that I gave him to eat inside my stomach." So Pinocchio said, "Okay, could you please let us in so we can change his mind, or if he doesn't change his mind, kill him?" So Monstro said, "Oh, definitely. I don't want to be a prisoner." So Monstro opened his mouth, Pinocchio and Jiminy came in. Geppetto was overjoyed to see Pinocchio, but then Pinocchio put his foot down, gave his dad the finger and said, "Look, you fucking slave driver, I have been fooled. I have been tricked 2 times by a asshole hyena and an asshole jackal, but I will not be fooled again. The Blue Fairy said that I can become a completely real boy, but only if I convince you that what you're doing is wrong. Don't you fucking lie to me, you prick. I know that you have been taking these innocent marine mammals and making them your prisoners and your slaves, and doing that to other kinds of animals too. You may have shown me that they look happy, but I know the truth. And I know that you're trying to take Monstro and being your slave and your prisoner and your star attraction in your shows as well. Well, you better change your mind, or else I am gonna fucking kill you." So Geppetto said, "Oh, I guess, so Geppetto just had this sheepish grin, saying, finally knowing that his son had figured out the truth. His son had figured out what he had been actually doing all those years. So Geppetto didn't know what to do. He didn't want to get killed, but, but at the same time, and he did want his son to become a real boy. So he said, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I did that, but I guess I know it's wrong. It's just all this money it makes me. It's awesome, and I made you so that you could be a trainer and so that you could basically, as you said, abuse and enslave the marine mammals. But I don't want to do that," said Pinocchio. "That's horrible. That's evil." Geppetto said, "You're right. I had bad feelings about it every time I did something bad to those whales, every time I whipped them, every time I hurt them, every time I confined them to those bathtubs. But I was just afraid that if I didn't, I'd be out of a job and I'd be poor and I'd have no money." Pinocchio said, "That's okay though. You can still have a job and make money, but not through unethical means." So Geppetto said, "You're right. Monstro, I'm sorry I tried to kidnap you. I've seen the light." So what happened is that Monstro opened his mouth, spouted out of the blowhole. They came out of his blowhole, and then Pinocchio was a real boy. So the Blue Fairy took them all back to Italy, and they lived happily ever after. So first what they did is they freed all the marine animals in Geppetto's prison. And they said, "Well, it's about fucking time you freed us. Oh, I know he did this shit to you, but but he's actually finally realized he was wrong," Pinocchio said to them, and they said, "Well, the scars are going to be there for a long time, but I understand. Thanks, Geppetto, for realizing you were wrong." And so, one by one, Geppetto dismantled its park and freed all the prisoners into the ocean. So, from then on, Pinocchio and Geppetto and Jiminy Cricket, and now here's Cleo. Cleo, the bluefin tuna, of course, was free again. And Cleo, went in to the ocean and said, wow, it's fine to be free. And then Monstro looked up to her and said, like the Joanna lizard on Fern Gully, welcome to the food chain. Could I please eat you? They had the predator-prey look. And with a look, Cleo had the right to say yes or no. So Cleo said, I guess sure, you can eat me. So Monstro ate her. She was sacrificed to Monstro. And the circle of life moved on, continued in the Outlands, the Pride Lands, Italy, and the sea. The fucking end.